One of the things that attracted me to the whole project was the compression of time. One night, 6:04 p.m. to 4:20 a.m. Everything is changing.
What's going with my work?
This is a collision of two lives. All you have been and who you think you might be all collapsed in the events of one night.
The movie starts with Vincent arriving to LA. Here he is, this guy who just looks perfect. Silver fox coming in the airport.
Enjoy LA.
More serious, deep current that's there within Tom Cruise is something I wanted to see, and particularly as it emerges through the exterior and we rapidly take in the rougher aspects of this character.
Michael, he came up with the whole design of the character. The hair, the beard, the suit. His eye is incredible, and it's always about his movie, the story, the characters.
Since when was any of this negotiable?
Some people happen to people on purpose in order to tell them something about their lives.
Are we taking bets?
Are we? May sit somewhere and share 2 or 3 lines, and then you leave, and you know your life has changed.
What if you're wrong?
I don't think I'm gonna be wrong, but if I am, the ride's free.
One of the themes is how people's paths cross. The interesting dynamic of meeting someone that you never thought could affect you in such a substantial way. In a cab. In case you ever want to argue cab routes.
Hey.
It's a very chance situation. Tom comes down and says, are you busy, are you taken, you know, and Jamie's thinking about something else, and Tom starts walking off, and Jamie says, no, wait, you know.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you, man, come on.
To me, that's kind of true to life, because it's those little, nothing decisions that we make sometimes that can totally change the course of our lives.
How long do you think this would take?
7 minutes.
7. Not 8, not 6.
When Max first meets Vincent, it's who cares? I just saw the woman of my dreams. I'm getting married in my mind right now. Michael says, I want you to disconnect so that when you guys do connect, it's like day and night.
Listen, I'm in town on a real estate deal. They're closing one night. I got 5 stops to make. Collect signatures, see some friends, and then I got a 6 a.m. out of LAX. Why don't you hang with me?
It's not until the offering of the money that you see them really connect.
I'll make it 600.
Cool. We got a deal. Here's 300 down. What's your name?
Max.
Max. I'm Vincent. Michael was so thorough in his history of Vincent that it very much informed where to start with the character. I'd sit down and have meetings with him, and he was, you know, showed me pictures of where the character came from and things like that. You know, that's the stuff I usually do as an actor.
We spent about 2 or 3 months building up the character of Vincent. What Vincent was doing when he was 2, what Vincent was doing when he was 11. Tom and I had a complete understanding of what Vincent is thinking for every single moment, and how it resonates with something in his life growing up in Gary, Indiana, with a mother who died in childbirth, delivering him, and a series of foster homes, none of which is part of the text of this motion picture. But all of it is apparent in what Tom's doing in the whole of the movie.
As an actor, you spend months getting into the zone to a point where you can just be the character. Michael creates that environment, and then as an actor, you just have to be able to keep creating that character.
I'm a big believer in whatever the central activity that a character is supposed to do in his life, that an actor should be able to do it. To really understand it and understand the character. So I designed a program. And I used somebody that I also used in Heat, Mick Gould.
It's important that we look every time.
He's ex-SAS, British Special Air Service, and kind of an expert in close-quarter combat with the kind of training he would have had if he had spent, 8 to 12 years in Special Forces.
Blanks. Because actors use blank guns, then they pretend to feel like what happens when it actually goes off, and it's a whole different deal. I mean, once you cock that weapon and there's a live round inside there, and you suddenly put it down your trousers and you go, wow.
I mean, you hit somebody right in here, they're down and out. You hit somebody right down in here, they're in deep shit.
Well, left to right, left to right. Yeah, but that guy seemed pretty down today. And that guy was still twisting. That guy was still twisting around. I saw him reaching for his gun. Gave me one of those cross-eyed looks. I said,
Yeah, we were using live ammo. It was great. The training on this, building this character from the ground up, really added a dimension. This is what he does. He just does it. It's an extension of who he is.
And for the actor then, when he's on a set and he's firing blanks, he does not firing blanks in his mind. He's firing live ammunition. This is really happening.
Yo, homie. That my briefcase?
There's a scene in which two people assault Vincent, not realizing who they're assaulting, and Vincent draws and shoots both of these guys. And it's in 1.3 seconds.
Somebody want to back off, yeah? We got it. He had to be from Mr. Nice Guy to the extreme of aggression at the snap of a finger. That's difficult. So it did actually take 3 months to get that flip over.
The real value of it is what it does to the actor believing in himself.
Crowd's not here now.
And it projects in a much deeper way into character. He can become very quiet. And we will look at the screen and we will feel that man is totally in command.
He's a quick draw. I'm here to tell you right now, Tom Cruise is a quick draw. If he'd have been in the Old West, he'd had some notches on his belt. The man is fast.
As an assassin, you must be economical in your moves. The fight scenes were choreographed months ahead of time, and we just keep working them.
Let's make a note that I like it without the punches better. I like it better with the open hand.
This way.
Yeah.
And so everything that Tom does in the picture, that's not stunt work. Tom did it all for real. Of course, there are no cuts in it. We've been doing it for the last 3 months every morning.
We worked with him every day for weeks, and he was always there. He would work out for an hour prior, stretch and warm up. And he was so diligent about, if I'm not doing something right, tell me. If his leg was 1/4 of an inch off a mark while we're working out a fight sequence, he wants to know, is everything perfect? It almost is like a dance. Every move has to be balanced. As you go through the scene, he's not focused on these bodyguards and the people he's got to take out. He's got a vision. He's got a vision 200 feet away, and he's got to look like it's all automatic response, and he's always in charge of the situation.
And with Jamie, it was a different thing. Who drives a cab? What kind of people are they? What do they wear? How do they look?
The first time I started, so where you from? I was doing this because, you think that's the way you drive the cab. He's like, quit turning the steering wheel like that.
If you drive a cab 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, year after year after year, you get to be a pretty good driver. You know how to pass people on the right. You know how to turn. It's kind of the basics of race car training. And we just did that, except with a Crown Vic out of Willow Springs Racetrack.
Let's ride out. Glasses up.
So we go out, and we race. And I'm like, oh, man, what are we racing? He says, I want you to have the feel of the cab to where it's natural, to where it's not acted. When it came to the stunts, he wanted me to be comfortable with the car going fast and how it moves and how it turns and everything like that. That's his method. We had a great time at the track. At the same time, we got a little bit of the DNA for, the character Max.
I drove a cab, my brother drove a cab, my grandfather, Sam Mann, started a small cab company. I've grown up around the cab business and the independence of cab drivers.
One Sunday morning, the guy said, oh man, I give up $100 for a beer. I drove him to some gas station and came out with a six-pack and says, can I have $600, please? He gave it to me.
This is the cleanest cab I've ever been in. You ready to ride?
Yeah, I share it with the day shift guy.
You start out early in the morning, you drive the car until you get your money.
Okay, see, that's the different thing I was going to say. I don't drive daytime.
Because you prefer nights?
Yeah, people more relaxed, less stress, less traffic, better tips.
The people are looser, they're nicer, and you can see trouble.
How are the benefits?
Oh, no, man, it's not that kind of job.
You can see trouble better at night.
And there was one guy who was really about being the best cab driver he could be. That was his Super Bowl. That was his Final Four. That was his championship game. And when I got in the car with him, he said, Jamie, I'll tell you what, I love driving this cab. Oh, you see that? We almost caught one. I said, what are you talking about? Somebody kind of pulled out to the intersection. You got to watch out for those guys. Those guys will ruin this industry. And you were like, are you serious? And when he broke it down, it made sense. That when people do get in my cab finally in LA, I want them to feel like that they had a great experience. We went through everything with Michael in order to get to Max. Here's all this information that I download and I sift from it with what I need. And then my thing was, I'm simply a cab driver. I'm simply this guy. There's nothing special to me at all. There's nothing exciting about my life. And so that was the thing. Strip all of it back. Just be the sitting on the dock of the bay in that cab. I'm not in this for the long haul. Just filling in.
Tus tráilers.
Temporary while
Visita
I'm
mi
getting some
canal.
things shaped up. This is just temporary.
How long you been driving?
12 years.
Really?
Each actor works in a different way. There's no such thing as a method, in a way, because every really great actor, Mark Ruffalo, Tom Cruise, and Jamie Foxx, they all work in completely different ways. Jamie's acquisition of character has to do with doing stand-up comedy.
Gotta represent, man. They looking at me like, come on, Fox.
Nothing to do with Stanislavski. It has to come with doing In Living Color. And so he uses mimicry as a means to get to a very truthful place.
Jamie can watch how you walk or watch how you speak for 5 minutes.
Shit happens. Gotta roll with it. Adapt. Darwin. I Ching.
And then he'll do exactly what I watched you do 5 minutes ago.
I said, I think you should tell the guy behind me to put his gun away before I take it and beat his bitch ass to death with it.
That is really part of having that actor's eye, of being able to observe people.
You just see him getting in that character and bring that character to life.
We did a sequence outside of Club Fever where we set up some cars.
Right on action.
Michael Mann says, listen, I want you to drive the cab with Tom in the back with no seatbelt. Just drive along the side and scrape the cars and then pull out. Cool. Problem is that the Crown Victorias don't quite handle that well.
Go drive! Drive! Drive!
And I run head on into a Mercedes with Tom in the back, billions of dollars in the back. Hit the car, wheel spin, car goes all the way up on the curb, bounces away from that, hits the other car. Tom is laughing in the back, man, we're having a great time. But when I get back, they run right past me. Jamie, are you all right? No, I'm not. Get out of the way so we can get to Tom.
Because he's a comedian, you have this preconceived idea that, this is a guy that thinks everything is silly and fun and da-da-da-da. There's a lot more to Jamie Foxx. I always like to just sit back and listen to him talk.
Dark pinstripe suit, elegant, not too flashy, that rules out advertising, plus a top drawer briefcase that you live out of. Anyway, a man gets in my cab with a sword, I figure he's a sushi chef.
We meet her in the beginning. She has to make an extremely strong impression on us because we're not going to see her again until very much later. A lot of who Jada is there in her eyes. When she looks up at Max, when he gives her this card, she looks up and her eyes open up, and it just melts me. I don't know if it affects anybody else the same way, but it just gets me.
I gave it up. I gave up years ago, and I just do an all-nighter. And then after the first day, I'm off to the races.
Once you go back to that little, like what you do, you probably never really explain to anybody the duality of I'm afraid and I can't wait to get in the ring.
I was really surprised at how thorough the auditioning process was, and I really enjoyed it. I was like, wow, that's what I'm talking about. He spent like an hour and a half with me and really worked me, which I feel should happen to squeeze out every bit of creative juice that an artist has. I mean, I don't know. You want to start an investigation of a Fortune 500 company or argue a cab route or something. I don't know, just in case.
Yeah.
He then had me go spend a day with a couple that he felt would be Annie's parents, right, so that I could understand the background that Annie comes from. And then I spent a couple of days with a prosecuting attorney and just watched how she handled herself in the courtroom, why she wears a skirt versus pants, how much makeup is she wearing, is this a woman who works out? U.S. Attorney's Office.
When you are with somebody who really does do this work in life, the answers you get aren't obvious. What kind of anticipatory anxiety do you have before you go into court the night before the first day? And this is a very, very, very tough lady who prosecutes big cases. And she says, well, I usually break down. I doubt myself. I will cry. And then I get myself together and prepare, and in the morning when it begins, I'm fine.
And then I pull myself together, I rewrite my opening statement, work my exhibits, and that's what I do for the rest of the night. That's my routine. I don't care if you are a character that just says, stop! And that's it. That's your only line. He is going to give you the reason why you said stop, where you're coming from before you said stop, what the psychological background of this person is that would motivate this person to say stop.
You guys kind of amble forward right up into where I am. I would want to hear what's going on.
If you're going to work with Michael Mann, you have got to be on point, period.
We got any witnesses knocking on doors?
Stop. I got nothing. Too early. Okay. Too early.
I spent hours in training with the guns. I don't ever shoot my gun in this movie, but I'm a crack marksman now.
Sometimes people might think, well, that's going a little overboard. Me, as an actress, I know. This is what acting is supposed to be about.
No director knows how any other director works. So I've never really been on a set. I have no idea how anybody else makes a motion picture. I have a predetermined idea of the way the scene ought to be and the way this character ought to be manifesting himself in the scene. I'll see a picture or a photograph, or I'll be out in the middle of the night and I'll see something and I say, I've got to capture that. I'll have an emotional response to it. I'll feel that that emotion relates to this movie. So what's the world of the motion picture? I started thinking of it less as a cab as a drive-in movie, meaning that it's really what you're seeing out the windows. Where are we? What's going on outside? Refineries in Wilmington, Koreatown, the architecture, the freeways. LA is a unique city, and when it's humid, what happens is that all the sodium vapor streetlights in this megalopolis of 17 million people bounces up on the bottom of the cloud layer, and it becomes a diffused light. You see this wondrous abandoned landscape with hills and trees and strange lighting patterns. It's a very, very magical place, and I wanted that to be the world that Vincent and Max are moving in. So then how much of that do we see? And the answer is not a lot in film, and that's why I moved into shooting about 90% of the picture in high def to see into the night.